Hi, Pat O'Connor here, Blackwood Family Enterprise Services. Really excited about this next series of questions we put to Tom. There's some real loaded ones here. What's fair versus equal? How do you structure communication with your family? We talked about family meetings, how best to do that. Gifting versus selling shares to your family. And Tom's got a very personal, interesting story around that. So please enjoy these next responses from Tom Deans.
Tom, I worked with a state litigator one time, and he was doing a workshop for some families, and he was actually tongue in cheek saying, "Hey, don't do wills, because I make more money in litigation than I do preparing a will document." And of course, he was joking with the families, but we see it in Canada all over the place: litigation, estates tied up in the courts. And what are you seeing in Canada across the nation on what the most common things that are being litigated?
The most common things that are being litigated, well, first of all, the courts are absolutely full of families fighting. Why? Primarily because the value of these estates are big now. If you bought a house in the 60s, you're probably a millionaire. There are there is so much wealth that is transitioning. A lot of people they would never self-identify or self-describe themselves as wealthy. Particularly elderly Canadians, they suffer from something called inflationitis. Like, they just don't understand what they've created and what they're going to leave behind. They're leaving behind a lot of families in chaos and litigation. The reality is, in the absence of these wills, the provincial formula is waiting for them. There's a formula that's going to be applied to the division of those assets, and the likelihood that that provincial formula will mirror exactly the wishes of someone who did write a will, it's highly unlikely. Someone is going to be left aggrieved. Someone is going to be left disappointed. And who is that going to be? Typically, it is going to be the family member who stepped up and provided late in life care for their mother or father, who invested way more time and energy than their brother and sister. And if that family has a will, and they have made a late in life change to that will and left everything to the one child who's provided late in life care for the mother or father, how do you think brothers and sisters are going to respond? Now, remember, mom and dad are gone. The gloves come off, and here we go again. We end up in court because someone is going to claim that that will was changed under duress, that there was undue influence, or that there was a change to the will because someone lacked capacity late in life. Those are the two big reasons why wills get amended and challenged in court, and it is completely avoidable if families work with an advisor like yourself and get out in front of these issues, have family meetings, plan and plan and plan.
Tom, another concept that is constantly on people's minds, and certainly parents as they struggle thinking about their estate plan, is this whole notion of fair versus equal. I'd appreciate your thoughts and comments around this concept.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. And if you could ask 10 people and you get very different answers. I mean, there's some people who think, yeah, fair is fair. Fair is equal. And then there's other people who think that equal is absolutely equal, and anything less than total equality is equal. I like using the example of the cottage. Let's take, a family with two kids. The last parent dies. They leave the cottage to Mary and Billy. Or actually, they don't leave it to two kids. They leave it to one child. They leave it to Mary. Mary is the one that's up at the weekend at the camp every weekend. Mary's doing the work. She's cutting the lawn. She's cutting the firewood. She's all in. So they're going to leave that cottage to Mary. And that cottage is worth, let's say, $250,000. Well, guess what? They're going to leave Billy $250,000 of cash. Now, they both got an asset worth $250,000. Is that fair, or is that equal? Or is equal? I'll tell you what's going to happen. And of course, you know this. You know that Mary, who got the cottage for $250,000, she's also going to get another little gift, except this one's from CRA. And it's a letter that goes something like this. Hey, Mary, you owe us this. And what do you think this is? Well, that cottage that was bought for $10,000 in 1964, it's now worth 250 or 2.5 million. That difference between the original cost and the current market value is subject to capital gains. Mary's going to get a tax bill from CRA. She's grieving. She's very sad that her last parent has died. She's thrilled that she's got a free cottage, but she's got this tax bill. Who do you think the first person she calls? It's her brother, Billy. And she's going to ask Billy for some cash to pay for the tax bill because Billy didn't have a tax bill. Billy got cash, tax-free. And Billy's probably going to answer that phone and go, hey, Mary, you got a cottage. I didn't. I got the cash. Fair's fair. Fair's fair. Fair's equal. Here we go. Listen, families can get out in front of this. If they have family meetings, work with an advisor like yourself, they can anticipate these problems and solve it before it actually becomes a problem.
Tom, along the lines of what family meetings can accomplish for families, preparing the next generation to manage wealth is on top of mind for many people. And my kids are never going to be able to handle the money. What do I do? I'm going to ruin their life. How would you say a family meeting structure and process might help a family with those types of concerns?
It's a really good question, Pat. And I think I'm going to speak from personal experience. My advisor is the advisor for my parents who are still alive. Same firm advised my grandparents. My advisor is actually investing our children's wealth. They have a small amount of money, but nevertheless, it's not trivial. 4 generations under administration. Do you think that is a fluke? No, our advisor is doing the kind of work that you're doing with your clients, which is multi-generational. I know you can do your best work in terms of tax efficiency, in terms of preparing heirs. When you can open up, encourage your elderly clients to open up an investment account and then have you work directly with a younger generation to teach them about the power of compounding interest, the power of investing and reinvesting and spending less than you make, like simple concepts, but ones that are so simple we often forget to teach them. This multi-generational process to making wealth, building wealth, saving wealth, protecting wealth, and transitioning wealth is something that successful families work on by themselves, like a do-it-yourself project on the weekend. They're doing it by working closely with their advisors on an annual or quarterly basis to make sure that everyone is ready for the future.
Thank you, Tom. Very insightful. I know you've got your own personal experiences that really help guide your feelings around this. Plus, of course, talking to thousands of people around the world. So thanks again for your insights.